A millionaire CEO gets into her car and hears a 7-year-old black boy telling her to shut up. She could never have imagined why.
Shut up and don't say a word.
The small, high-pitched voice sliced through the silence of the parking garage like a knife. Amara Thorne, CEO of Thorne Tech, a white woman, froze with her key fob in her hand, still outside her black Mercedes. The order had come from inside the car itself. Her eyes adjusted to the dim interior, and she saw a black boy of about 7 huddled in the back seat, his eyes wide with fear. "They're listening," he whispered, pointing discreetly to the corporate building behind her. "Your partner and his dark-skinned wife. They said you'd be here now." Amara was 48 years old and had never imagined that her life would be turned upside down by a street kid. She had founded Thorne Tech from scratch, turning it into a technology company valued at $300 million. For 15 years, she had trusted her partner, Alistair, a white man, completely. For a decade, her executive assistant, Rebecca, a white woman, had been her right hand. "How did you get into my car?" she asked quietly, sliding into the driver's seat without making any sudden movements. "The cleaning lady left it open when she left," he said, his voice a little shaky. "I hid because I saw them talking about you upstairs. They said that tomorrow you won't be the owner of anything anymore." Amara's blood ran cold. Tomorrow was the meeting with German investors for a $500 million merger, a meeting that Alistair and Rebecca had meticulously organized. "What else did you hear?" she asked, pretending to fiddle with her phone while watching the illuminated windows of the 10th floor. "That you're a fool, and you're going to sign some papers without reading them properly." The dark-skinned woman had laughed. "And the day after tomorrow, you'll have to look for another job." The boy shrank back further. "They said other mean things about you, but my grandfather always said children don't repeat bad words." Amara felt a mixture of anger and a surprising sense of awe. This child had risked his own safety to warn a complete stranger about a betrayal. "What's your name?" "Jasper." "And yours is Amara Thorne because I heard them say it 1,000 times." He hesitated. "Are you going to turn me into the police now?" For the first time in weeks, Amara smiled genuinely. "No, Jasper. In fact, you may have saved everything I've built in my life." Through the rear-view mirror, she saw the office lights going out one by one. Alistair and Rebecca were probably coming down now, confident that tomorrow would be the day they finally got Amara out of the way. What they didn't know was that a millionaire CEO had just found the most unlikely ally possible, and that Jasper, without knowing it, had given her something far more valuable than any business meeting: time to prepare. As she drove away from the building, Amara was already beginning to formulate a plan. But why would a 7-year-old risk everything to save a woman he didn't even know? The answer to that question would change not only her revenge, but her entire perspective on justice. Amara drove through the quiet streets of the city, her brain processing Jasper's words like pieces of a puzzle that were finally starting to fit together. In the back seat, the boy remained alert, his eyes fixed on the rearview mirrors. "Did they say anything else?" she asked, keeping her voice low. The dark-skinned woman said, "She trusts us like a pet dog." Jasper grimaced in disgust. "And tomorrow she'll find out that little dogs sometimes bite their owners." The casual cruelty of that sentence hit Amara like a punch in the stomach. 15 years of partnership, 10 years of absolute trust in Rebecca, and they saw her as a foolish pet. "Where do you live, Jasper?" "Nowhere in particular," he shrugged, with a naturalness that broke her heart. "Sometimes at the shelter, sometimes on the street. It depends if there's room or if the other boys aren't being too annoying." Amara stopped at a traffic light and turned to look at him directly. "Why did you tell me? You don't even know me." Jasper's eyes flashed with premature wisdom. "Because I know what it's like when people think you're invisible. They were talking about you like you're a fool, like you're nothing." His voice grew firmer. My grandfather always said, when you see someone getting stepped on and you can help, you help. Because the next time, it could be you. 20 minutes later, they were sitting in an empty diner. Jasper devoured a hamburger while Amara pretended to drink her cold coffee. Her phone vibrated. A message from Alistair. Ready for tomorrow, partner? The Germans are going to love our proposal. You're going to retire rich. Amara showed the screen to Jasper, who laughed softly. He's got some nerve, doesn't he? He's lying to your face and still putting on a happy face. Alistair has always been like that. Charming, convincing. Amara typed a friendly reply, masking the anger boiling inside her. Rebecca, too. She knows my schedule better than I do. She has access to everything in the company. And you're going to let them fool you tomorrow? Amara smiled genuinely. No, Jasper, but they can't know that I know. Another message arrived, this time from Rebecca. Amara, I've reviewed the final contracts. Everything is perfect for signing. Trust me, as you always have. Do they know things about you? Jasper asked, licking his ketchup-stained fingers. They know everything. Bank passwords, company accounts, where I keep important documents. The magnitude of the betrayal was beginning to sink in. They've had years to prepare. But you've had years of stuff on them too, right? Amara stopped with a glass halfway to her lips. Jasper was right. 15 years of partnership. 10 years of executive assistance. She knew their secrets as well as they knew hers. Alistair's secret meetings with competitors that he thought no one knew about. The irregular bonus system Rebecca had created for herself. The emails she had seen by accident. The conversations she had overheard when they thought she wasn't paying attention. You have a very sharp mind, Jasper. My grandfather used to say that when you have nothing, you learn to pay attention to everything. He wiped his hands on his napkin. They think you're a fool, but you're not, are you? Amara smiled, feeling something she hadn't felt in years. Hope mixed with determination. No, I'm not. Her phone rang. Alistair, no doubt wanting to confirm some last-minute detail to consolidate the final trap. Amara answered in the friendliest voice she could muster. Amara, glad you made it home. Rebecca and I are here finishing up the last preparations. Are you resting well? Tomorrow will be a big day. I'm great, Alistair. I can't wait to see how it all unfolds. It'll be perfect. Trust me. We've taken care of everything. All you have to do is show up and sign where Rebecca tells you. The arrogance in Alistair's voice was almost palpable. They really thought they had reduced Amara to a puppet who would simply follow the script. After she hung up, Jasper watched her closely. You're planning something, aren't you? Your eyes look different. Every word of contempt, every lie disguised as concern, every fake smile from the last few months began to make sense. Alistair and Rebecca hadn't just betrayed her trust. They had completely underestimated her ability to fight back. What those two didn't know was that years of building businesses had taught Amara a fundamental lesson. The best strategies aren't loud, they're silent. And while they prematurely celebrated their victory, she was about to turn their arrogance into the very trap that would destroy them. The next morning, Amara woke up with a clarity of mind she hadn't felt in months. Jasper was sleeping on the living room couch, wrapped in a blanket she had found in the closet. For a moment, she watched the child who had completely changed the course of her life in a single night. Her phone vibrated. A message from Rebecca at 6 a.m. Good morning, boss. I've been at the office since 5, getting everything ready. The Germans are arriving at 2 in the afternoon. You just need to trust me and sign where I tell you, as always. Amara smiled bitterly. The same Rebecca who worked extra to ensure she lost everything was pretending to be a devoted employee. You're planning something, Jasper said, stretching out on the sofa. Your eyes are different, like when my grandfather found out someone was lying to him. I need your help, Jasper. Could you go back there today and listen to more of their conversations? The boy sat up, suddenly serious. That's dangerous. I know. That's why I'm going to pay someone to protect you. Amara had already made up her mind during her sleepless night. I know a private investigator, Sebastian, a white man. He used to work for me, checking backgrounds on big clients. Sebastian answered on the second ring, his voice thick and familiar. Amara, what a surprise. I thought you'd forgotten about me after they terminated my contract last year. The irony did not escape her. Sebastian had been let go by Alistair and Rebecca, who claimed budget cuts. Now Amara understood the real reason. Sebastian was too smart and asked too many questions. Sebastian, I need you to know that your dismissal was not my decision. Silence on the other end. Then a low, dry laugh. I figured as much. Alistair never liked investigators asking inconvenient questions. What do you need? 2 hours later, Sebastian was sitting in Amara's kitchen, looking at Jasper with a mixture of admiration and concern. He was a 45-year-old white man, a former police officer, with scars on his hands and eyes that missed nothing. So, this little detective uncovered a $300 million corporate conspiracy. Sebastian shook his head in awe. Jasper, you have a natural talent for this. My grandfather always said that when you have nothing, you learn to listen to everything, he replied, biting off a piece of toast. Sebastian pulled a tablet out of his backpack. Amara, while Jasper was saving your company, I was investigating a few things on my own. I never liked how I was fired. His fingers slid across the screen, revealing spreadsheets and documents. Alistair and Rebecca aren't just traitors, they're thieves. The evidence was devastating. Suspicious transfers, fake contracts, clients that existed only on paper. For 2 years, they had siphoned more than $8 million from the company, creating a complex network of shell companies. The merger with the Germans isn't about growth, Sebastian explained. It's about money laundering. They need you to sign to validate the retroactive transfers. After that, they remove you, and everything is clean. Amara felt a cold anger rising in her chest. It wasn't just personal betrayal. It was organized crime. They stole from the company I built with my own hands, she muttered. They used my trust to finance their own corruption. Jasper leaned forward. Now it gets interesting. They think you're a fool, but you have an investigator and a smart boy on your side, and they don't know any of this. Sebastian smiled for the first time since he had arrived. Exactly. And while they're celebrating prematurely, you turn them in to the police, red-handed with irrefutable evidence. Her phone vibrated again. A message from Rebecca. Amara, you're the best boss a girl could ask for. After today, I'm sure our partnership will last forever. They think I'm a sentimental idiot, Amara said, putting her phone away. They think my kindness is weakness. Sebastian closed his tablet, his eyes hard. Then it's time to show them that kindness and strategic intelligence can be a deadly combination. Jasper jumped off the couch, his eyes shining with determination. And I can help. I can hide near the meeting room and record everything on your phone. For a moment, Amara hesitated. He was a 7-year-old child. But then she remembered how he had risked everything to warn her about the betrayal. All right, she said finally. But Sebastian keeps an eye on you at all times. Sebastian nodded. It will be a pleasure to watch those two discover they've underestimated the wrong people. The meeting was at 2 in the afternoon, but at 2:05, Alistair and Rebecca would discover that sometimes the silent lamb they thought they were leading to slaughter had grown sharp fangs. And today, finally, he would use them all. At 2 sharp, Amara, a white woman, entered the Thorne Tech conference room as if it were just another normal workday. Alistair, a white man, and Rebecca, a white woman, were already there, organizing stacks of documents with the precision of surgeons preparing for an operation. "Amara!" Alistair stood up with a beaming smile, hugging her like a brother. "Glad you're here. The Germans are on their way, and everything is perfect." Rebecca approached with a leather briefcase and a motherly smile. "Boss, you just need to sign where I marked with yellow Post-its. Trust me, as you always have." "Sure," Amara replied calmly. "But first, I wanted to show you something interesting I found out last night." Sebastian, a white man, entered the room carrying a box of files, followed by two federal police investigators. Alistair and Rebecca exchanged quick glances, but kept their smiles. "Sebastian?" Alistair frowned. "I thought you didn't work for us anymore." "I do," Sebastian replied dryly. "Only now I work for the real owner of the company." Amara connected her laptop to the projector in the room. "Alistair, Rebecca, do you remember this conversation?" The screen lit up with detailed spreadsheets showing bank transfers, dates, amounts. $8.3 million embezzled in 2 years. Rebecca's smile faltered for the first time. "Amara, what is this? Some kind of joke?" "Joke?" Amara clicked to the next screen. Photographs appeared of Alistair entering and leaving offshore banks. Signed documents. Fake contracts. "You created 17 shell companies to launder the money you stole from me." Alistair stood up abruptly, his mask of charm finally slipping. "Where did you get this? This information is private." "Private?" Amara laughed softly. "Alistair, do you really think I built a $300 million company without learning how to protect my own interests?" Rebecca tried to maintain her composure, but her hands trembled as she held the folder. "Amara, you're misunderstanding. These transactions have perfectly legal explanations." Sebastian interrupted, handing an envelope to each of the investigators. "Here are the recordings of the conversations between the two of them planning the fraudulent merger. And here," he placed a second envelope on the table, "are the confessions of 3 phantom clients you invented, all ready to testify in court." Alistair's face was red with anger and panic. "You can't prove anything. These are just accusations." Amara smiled for the first time since she had entered the room. "Alistair, do you remember Jasper?" "Who the hell is Jasper?" The door opened, and the 7-year-old black boy entered, accompanied by a social worker. His eyes shone with determination as he walked up to the conference table. "Hi, Mr. Alistair," he said in a sweet but firm voice. "Remember me? I was hiding under your desk last night when you called the Japanese and said you were going to steal Miss Amara's company." The silence in the room was deafening. Alistair opened and closed his mouth several times, unable to form words. Rebecca tried one last card, her voice high-pitched with desperation. "A child? You're going to believe a street kid over respected professionals?" Sebastian pulled out his phone and pressed play. Rebecca's voice echoed through the room with crystal clarity. "Amara is a sentimental fool. The day after tomorrow, she'll have to look for another job, and we'll get everything. That clown will never know what hit her." Alistair's own voice followed on the recording. 15 years pretending to be friends with that imbecile. It'll be worth every second when I see her face, when she finds out she's lost everything." Rebecca collapsed into her chair, her face white as a sheet. Alistair punched the table so hard that the documents flew off. "You bastard! You set us up." Amara remained calm, her voice low but sharp. "I didn't set you up, Alistair. You dug your own grave for 2 years. I just provided the shovels." One of the investigators approached. "Alistair and Rebecca, you're under arrest for embezzlement, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit corporate fraud." As the handcuffs clicked around Alistair's wrists, he shouted, "This won't stand. I'll destroy you." Amara stood up, adjusting her suit jacket with her usual calm. "Alistair, you've already tried to destroy me. The difference is that I'm better at it than you are." Rebecca cried silently as she was escorted out, but Amara felt no pity. She remembered all the times she had smiled in her face while stealing her money, all the affectionate messages as she planned her ruin. Jasper approached her, tugging lightly on her hand. "Miss Amara, are they really going to jail?" "Yes, Jasper. For a long time." Sebastian closed his briefcase with satisfaction. "Amara, the Germans canceled the meeting when they heard about the investigation, but 3 other companies have already called interested in legitimate partnerships. Your company's stronger than ever, without leeches sucking its resources. You'll find out how much it's really worth." As the room emptied, Amara looked out the window and saw the police van driving away. For 15 years, she had trusted Alistair blindly. For 10 years, she had treated Rebecca like family. They had turned her kindness into weakness, her trust into stupidity. Jasper remained by her side, watching the same scene. "Miss Amara, are you sad?" She looked at the boy who had saved everything she had built in her life. "No, Jasper. For the first time in years, I'm at peace." "Why?" "This grade now. Because I've learned that there are people in the world like you. People who do the right thing, even when there's nothing in it for them." 6 months later, Amara was in her new office, much larger than her previous one, watching the city bustle below from the 20th floor. Thorne Tech had grown 40% since Alistair and Rebecca's arrest, finally free of the parasites that had been draining its resources. Sebastian knocked on the door, carrying a briefcase and smiling. "The latest news on our old friends. Alistair sentenced to 15 years in prison. Rebecca got 10 years. They lost all their assets. Their homes were confiscated to compensate the company." Amara nodded, feeling a quiet satisfaction, but not vindictive. "And the other victims?" "We found 7 more white businessmen they defrauded over the last 5 years. All are suing and recovering their losses. Alistair and Rebecca created a much bigger scheme than we imagined." Jasper came running in, back from the private school Amara had enrolled him in. His uniform was spotless, his new backpack on his back, his eyes shining with the same intelligence as always, but now nourished by education and security. "Miss Amara, I got an A on my math test." He waved the paper proudly. "Congratulations, Jasper. I knew you could do it." Sebastian smiled, watching the interaction. It's still surreal how a 7-year-old saved a $300 million company. "Actually," Amara said, sitting down to be at Jasper's height, "there's something you both need to know, something I found out a few weeks ago." She pulled out a folder of legal documents. "Jasper, do you remember your grandfather's name?" "Of course, Henry Thorne." "Why?" Sebastian raised his eyebrows. "Thorne? Like?" Amara opened the folder, revealing birth certificates, genealogical documents, old photos. "Henry Thorne was my father's brother, my uncle, whom the family lost contact with over 30 years ago." The silence in the room was absolute. Jasper looked from the documents to Amara, processing the information. "That means that we're real family," Amara said softly. "Your grandfather always talked about you to the social workers, about how smart and brave you were. When I started investigating after that night, all the pieces fell into place." Jasper threw himself into her arms, tears streaming down his face. "I knew it. I knew you were different. Grandpa always said that family takes care of family." Sebastian cleared his throat, clearly moved. "So when he warned you about the conspiracy, it was a family protection instinct." "Exactly," Amara finished. "He didn't consciously know we were related, but something inside him recognized the connection." 3 months later, the official adoption ceremony was held in the same courthouse where Alistair and Rebecca had been convicted. Jasper, now legally Jasper Thorne, wore a light blue suit and held Amara's hand tightly. The judge smiled as he signed the final documents. It's rare to see a story that begins with a crime and ends with a family reunited. Later, at the celebratory restaurant, Jasper looked at Amara with that seriousness peculiar to children. "Miss Amara, Mom, do you think Grandpa knew this was going to happen?" Amara thought about the question, remembering how Jasper had appeared in her life just when she needed him most. "I think your grandfather knew a lot more than we realize, and I think he would be very proud to see how you saved our family." On the first anniversary of Alistair and Rebecca's arrest, Amara received 2 letters in the same week. The first was from Alistair from prison, a pathetic attempt to apologize and suggest that it had all been a misunderstanding. The second was from Rebecca, also from prison, blaming Alistair for everything and trying to play the victim. Amara tore up both letters without finishing them. "They still don't get it," Jasper said, looking at the pieces of paper in the trash. "It's not about forgiving or not forgiving. It's about moving on and being better." The wisdom of that child still surprised Amara every day. 5 years later, Thorne Tech had become one of the 100 largest technology companies in the country. Amara created a scholarship program for vulnerable children, funding education and housing for more than 200 children annually. Jasper, now 12, was the honorary president of the program, personally choosing the beneficiaries and mentoring other young people who were going through similar difficulties to those he had faced. "Do you know what the best day of my life was?" Jasper asked during the program's anniversary dinner. "What was it?" "The day I got in your car and decided to trust you. Because that day, I wasn't just saving your company, I was saving our family." Amara smiled, looking at the boy who had become her son and her greatest source of pride. Alistair and Rebecca had tried to destroy everything she had built, but they had inadvertently given her the greatest gift of her life, the chance to discover that family isn't just blood. It's also courage, loyalty, and unconditional love. She had learned that true revenge isn't destroying those who betray you. It's building something so beautiful and powerful that their betrayal becomes nothing more than a footnote in the story of your success.